I'm Dr. Allana Coffee. Welcome to Bamboo and Tea with Dr. Allana Coffee. Thank you. These interviews are really important to me. These are times when we sit together and talk about psychology and basically bring psychology out of the ivory tower, that is the university, and all of our journal articles into our laps and really into our teacup. And I've been doing a lot of these articles individually and alone, but recently I found some people to share some time with me. And today I've got with me Toby Portner. She is a professional, dedicated, and loving educator here in the state of Hawaii. And so thank you for joining me today, Toby.
Thank you, Allana. Thanks for having me.
And she's one of my best friends, in full disclosure. We've known each other since our kids were 2.
Something like that.
And they're 23 now. So this is a really nice, long relationship, and I'm so grateful for it.
Me too.
And I'm grateful for you today. So Toby asked, well, what do we talk about? And I'm like, girl, whatever you want. We're literally going to spill tea if you need to. It's been a long year of isolation. This is one of the few times that I've seen you in person in over 13 months.
I mean,
quarantine.
It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah, that's also why we're outside, just a little bit of social distancing. So for the listener, that's, you know, a Sharma thrush back there, there's chickens, dogs, cats, ambient noise, but that's the real, that's what we're doing here right now. Okay, so, all right, so Toby, thanks for making the trek.
I'm honored.
Right, thank you for making the trek. So what are you up to these days?
Well, enjoying seeing friends and family again and really getting a rush out of this sort of new feeling around that, because, you know, we're so used to being around people all the time and rush and see the ones that we love, and now that we don't see people, time with our precious ones is just, it's hard to put a value on that or a finger on it. So I'm really loving that. And then of course my alone time.
Alone time's nice. I mean, you have a job like I have where we put a lot of energy and love into the moment. So that alone time is really recreating, playing ambient noise. Let's keep talking through it. Do you hear it?
That's fine.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. But so what do you do during your private time?
That's kind of private. No, I make a lot of art. Play with materials and things, collage and paint, and make a mess. I leave that out all the time so that it's always in the way. And I walk and stretch my body and Zoom with my girlfriends. I feel like I've had more quality time with my friends on the mainland and around the globe in those last year and a half than I did for a long, long time. So I'm really valuing that too.
Right. You're mentioning, you know, the new normal is it's overused, but you're mentioning a new future, a new way of being in relationship with people and not taking the time we spend with each other at all for granted. And who knew? I didn't realize we had been taking that time for granted, but now that we were so deprived of it, it's like,
yeah,
it's so poignant now. Yeah,
it is. It's so special to connect in person, and well, and even not even in person. I mean, for me, we all complain about Zoom and we do Zoom all the time for work and all the things, but I love it actually, because I can sit down and have a coffee with my friend in Michigan or LA or Seattle or Paris for that matter, and because we become habituated and comfortable, you almost forget that the screen is there really.
It's true.
And you can just sit and talk.
Nice.
And so I'm appreciating that. I like the idea of the future that we're in now, the time that we're in now, and how that's going to go into the future. And I hope to hold on to some of the things that, the silver linings, and not go back to the crazy.
It was so just, I know your pace. Your pace is, you know, as an educator, let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
So what are you doing in the classroom or in around about the classroom? What are you doing currently professionally?
So right now I'm the state coordinator for the Education for Homeless Children and Youth program. It's a national program. There's one of me in every state, and we make sure that we're paying attention to the kids whose housing is unstable and their family and then their needs. And the goal of the program, and it's been around since the late 80s, the goal of the program is to remove barriers to full participation and success in school, starting with enrollment. So kids and families who are moving around a lot, transient, lots of stuff going on in their life, schools, it's sometimes hard to keep that as a priority. And so it's our job to get in there and figure out what is it that's keeping you from being at school and participating fully and being successful, and how can we help? And right now is a crazy time.
Wow.
For all the reasons we know. And the most recent one being that the federal government has sent down a significant amount of funding as of last week to meet the needs of these kids and families in creative ways, in ways that we weren't able to do before. And so now we can expand the supports and services that we provide within the community and build some new systems moving forward.
Right.
So that's busy. And when I think about doing all of those things on top of the old way that we used to live, we're in the car every morning, running to somewhere, going to a meeting, back and forth, go to the store, meet some friends for dinner, come back home, do the thing, you're tapped out. And now this work, I really have time to sit and think and look and plan and figure it out. And there's just so much more mental space.
Right.
And that's not lost on me.
Right. Well, you are such a creative anyway. I would imagine that your brain's always ticking in terms of concept and operationalizing that concept. I can imagine your brain's always going. So you would appreciate the downtime.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I said before, what am I doing making art? I am almost loath to call it that, because it's so product oriented kind of sounding, and really for me it's the process of just playing around with stuff and seeing what comes together helps process the thinking and quiets down that constant, what did you call it? But that's exactly what it is.
Right.
The constant going and connecting and firing, and so getting my hands into something and keeping them busy helps me process some of the problems that I'm thinking about in the real world that are more tangible.
That's also the benefit of being able to leave your things out and not have to put it away each time you use a thing. Now, I want to just do a quick plug for something that you said for parents who happen upon their child that seems to be doing nothing. And then that parent says, oh my gosh, you're just sitting there idle. You need to go do X, Y, or Z. And I want to just talk to that for a little bit and say, what looks idle to some people is actually a great deal of production. We have to conceive it and think about it before we can execute on a thing. And I think a lot of kids ponder, and it's an important part of their development.
Yeah, I would agree with that, 100%. I mean, I think about that not just as an educator, but as a parent and as a learner person myself, and I don't know, are you asking me something?
No, you just reminded me of an issue that happens a lot with parents.
I think we would really do kids a favor by teaching them that, to be aware of that early. And give think time.
Right.
And there are lots of teachers that are really good at that, that's a habit. It's a habit that I think we all have to cultivate. It's like give ourselves time to just sit back and consider something. Take a deep breath. I mean, that works for me a lot to avoid freaking out about anything, frankly, like just on the simplest of levels. That I hear something and it really serves me to just kind of remind myself first to just breathe a little bit, which sounds so cliche, but it's true. And then it becomes habit, where you hear a thing that's like jarring, and instead of going into this like crazy mode, you just take a beat.
Beautiful.
Right? And then teaching that to kids, and then everybody's kind of aware, and then there's words for that. So no, I'm not sitting here doing nothing. I'm taking a beat.
Right.
As long as it's not all day, every day for the rest of your life.
Like
kind of
8
thing.
hours on this video game taking a beat. That's not what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
But if we have words for that kind of a coping skill, and we understand that about ourselves
it's beautiful.
and each other, it goes a long way. And I think that's hard to expect parents and teachers to be able to do that with kids and to articulate that easily, because we're not good at doing it ourselves as adults.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
there
yes.
is that voice always
Yeah.
going,
Do
I should
more,
be
do
doing
more,
something.
yeah.
I should be doing something. I mean, not to be talking about other people, but Reggie, that's my
Oh, girl, this is the
lovin',
part where we spill
lovin'.
the tea.
exactly. My sweet Reg.
Spilling the tea on Reggie, really?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just that it's so relevant because it came up this morning. So he's busy working all the time, doing stuff, garden, this thing, that thing, always has something to do, and a million projects. And this morning he said, okay, he was reading. And he kind of took this deep breath and he said, okay, I got to motivate. And I said, to do what? And he's like, nothing. There's just a million things.
Right.
You know, and I said, you know, it's okay to just have that be the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we're just, I don't know how we got on this.
But it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's and we're adults, and you know, he's in mental health field, and you're an educator, and like we should know better, but we don't. We still need to remind each other, hey, slow down, and that's one of the silver linings that I would like to try to hold on to post-COVID, you know, which we're barely post, but you know, I'd really like to be able to keep that slowed downness of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I don't think we're post. I
Yeah.
really, and I'm not like, you know me, I don't bury myself in the negative. But if
Come
we
on.
think about it, we're in this for a minute yet.
Yeah.
And so I think it's good to keep throwing the stone down the road and think about the future so that we can be intentional about it. Because what I really don't ever want to see is my calendar super full again.
All right.
You know what I mean? The thing in
Yeah.
the morning, and then the thing in the afternoon, and then the thing in the evening, and then the thing in the...
In between.
No thanks. Right, the running through
Yeah.
and doing something. I mean, now, one thing I love that came out of the COVID thing, I wake up in the morning, make my coffee, do my thing, and while I'm doing that, I make dinner. I chop up a bunch of vegetables and I stick them in the pressure cooker and I kind of get things going, and then I go to work. I call it dinner, but it's not really dinner. It's just the food in the house for the day.
Yeah.
And then I go to work, and then I start to feel hungry, that like peckish thing where you're like, oh, I better go, and there's food that's cooked, that's fresh, and it's there all day, and I can eat it later also, and I make enough that I put it away, and maybe something else comes. And to me, it's just really a healthier way of living.
You've had to incorporate make some health changes, and you've always been intentional about your health the whole time I've known you. And I wonder how comfortable you are talking about some of the changes that you've additionally made to your,
Oh my God, it's so crazy.
I'm so
Yes, it's almost a year. I had a heart attack. It's even hard to say it out of, it's hard, it's not so hard to say it anymore, but it's hard to hear it because it's like a shock. And you're right, I have been intentional about my health my whole life, and so it was a blow. Not just physically, actually I bounced back really pretty quickly physically, but emotionally it was quite a blow because it really came out of left field, and it was humbling because I thought, you know, I was doing all the right things, and I wasn't judging other people but for their choices or what they did, but I really was thinking that what I was doing was the right way, and it helped me to expand that there's more than one right way. And also I learned from the wonderful cardiologists and the physicians that I've met that there's still so much we don't know about the heart. You know, and that too was kind of like humbling on the humanity side, in the sense of like, really, I thought we had that all figured out.
Yeah.
And we have a lot figured out, but if you think back 100 years at what we used to think we knew and how we handled things, and then you, speaking of throwing the stone forward, what are the things we're going to look back on and think, wait, that's what we were doing? You know, and so that it's been a crazy year for that. And what they tell me, after saying that there's a lot we don't know, what they do say is that my lifestyle probably saved my life. You know, the irony was that I've been following this heart attack prevention sort of protocol
anyway
for years.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, I was getting down on myself right after the heart attack, and they said, no, do not do that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably the thing that saved you, and all the tests showed that my heart was healthy and everything. So, I've just had to realize for myself that there are lots of things around the corner that we don't know about, and that we have to take good care of ourselves and do our best. And then it's really just about accepting and keep on going.
Yeah. I was going to say, and living.
And living, exactly,
living,
and
yeah.
living. And they encourage me to share, actually, my story about this. So I'm glad you asked, just because it can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I ate a plant-based diet, and I'm not a drinker, and I don't smoke cigarettes, and I thought I was moderating my stress, and all the things. All the things. And so we have to take care and know our numbers, have a handle on what's our cholesterol and how about the blood pressure, and is our weight where it needs to be, and just and are our behaviors in line with what we want for our health, and just keep a check on that, and don't think that just because the answer to all those questions are the right answer, the yes or the no or whatever goes with it, that
means it won't happen.
it means it won't happen.
Yeah.
And I got a really good therapist. Thank you. Not you, but thank you for guiding me to the right person. And that started right after the heart attack. I had it on a Thursday afternoon, and I started talking to somebody on Friday. And that first Friday, I was like, I'm not talking to anybody. I don't feel like talking. But I did, and we made it through. And now it just has been such a lifesaver. And of course, it helped me get through this, just get my mind around it, and say all the things that were inside about the confusion and the fear and the anger and the sadness. And then, of course, we got kind of through those things, and then there's always a million things to process within ourselves, right, if we're paying attention. So that's been really good too. I have to say, sometimes I feel guilty about, I wonder if you feel this way also, about the parts of this COVID for which I am grateful.
I do feel a lot of guilt about that. And then I just try to stay in a place of gratitude and truly feel blessed. But yeah, I am grateful for a lot of what else is happening. But what went on for you with that was just more than I was really able to bear and process. And I think so we have these concentric circles where it's like my body, my family, my friends, my neighborhood. Those things are so precious when so much out there in the rest of the world is uncertain and crazy and chaotic and dangerous. And so that, that harm came so near our epicenter was like, it was too much. So, thank you for having been so careful with your diet. I'll try to take care of myself so you don't have to get scared if anything happens to me too. But I mean, of course we care about what's happening out in the world, but there's very little we can do about it, right? Except for pay attention, maybe do some voting in a certain kind of way. But the stuff right here at home, that's something we can do something about. Like you're saying, know your numbers and eat well and love often. That's something we can do. And I'm minded of that. That was really reinforced for me.
Well, I'm glad you pulled something away from that was positive. We think about aging. That's a crazy thing to think about, and how special that is, and how lucky
we are
to get to do it, right?
Yeah.
And also the side of it where you look down and you're like, wait, what happened to the elasticity on my skin, or something like that? All these things, and I don't know where I'm going with that, but
we're finding our silver linings, even in our wrinkles.
Yeah,
what did that man say? Dream on. I see all the lines. Hey, it's happening, and we get to do it together, and that is my gratitude today.
Oh my gosh, I can't even put words on it.
That's why I was so happy to have you here. I'm just like, oh, it's like you're my first Bamboo and Tea actual interview.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
great. I
So
love
thank you
it.
for being that for me.
Thank you. And
let's
thank
get
you
old
for,
together.
Yeah, let's totally. And we've got a long road ahead.
I mean, you know,
Right? You got to
yeah.
eat those radishes you're growing over
Oh,
there.
I know, they're right there. I'm
I
going to
mean,
harvest them today.
It's such a good one to start with, right? Because you
Yeah.
get something right away.
I love it.
I know, a little peppery reminder.
Just delicious. We could go on,
We could.
but we shouldn't.
Let's cut.
Let's cut this, but let's, you know, after this, let's go have our own private refreshment and a
Let's
little
do
bit
it.
more conversation. I just want to say to my viewers, thank you so much for being here and loving on the people that I love on. And this is Toby Portner, and she does an amazing job for our community. And we didn't even talk so much about really all of the children whose lives she has touched and their parents. And she's been auntie to my sons, and her daughter is, you know, filling in their cookie. So I just really love having her here today. Aloha.
Aloha.